All right, so guys, today we're going to begin our journey down the path of writing your narrative essay. Okay, and we have discussed, you've watched a video, a TED Talk video. So really quickly, in your own words, can I have some volunteers to tell me what you think you will be writing about as your last essay of this semester? Can I get some hands, please? Let's hear from Gla, AJ, Tate, She, go. Gla?
So maybe writing about a personal story, like when I moved from my house to my dorm.
Okay, so moving. You live in a dorm?
I used to for 2 years in Songkla when moving firstly,
At Old
and
Siam
um
or somewhere
no,
else?
at the um it's like the other side of the street across the school. It's like in
Uh-huh.
an alley.
I used to teach an older student he lived at the very top of Old Siam there. It was quite a cool place. Great views of the city. I was shocked. I'm like, wow, I didn't know a bunch of Swan Kularb kids lived up there. All right. So yeah, that's a great story, right? I mean, you're young and it's a big transition, right? And transition is an important part of narrative story, right? Like, how are we changing as a person? Okay, good. AJ.
So maybe like I might write about how like my life or house changed as the time passed by because there have been a lot some constructing and what do you call it, demolishing happened to my house. So maybe write about that.
So if you've got constructions and a lot of machines happening in your house, what elements from another type of writing that we discussed this year could you include in your narrative?
Is it descriptive?
Absolutely. And when we think of descriptive and we think of all the sounds that are happening because of that construction work, what writing tool, creative writing tool, descriptive writing tool could you use to make the sound of the construction come alive? It's a big, funny word. Anybody else? Chang?
Is it onomatopoeia?
Right, onomatopoeia, boom, crash, bang, right, Adj? Okay, so remember, Adj brings up a good point here, right? Descriptive writing, sensory details are very much a part of narrative writing. Okay, good. Tate?
Yeah, so I was going to answer like La and AJ, in which we're going to be writing about our own personal experience or something that changes our life. For example, I used to live near the Pin Cloud and the Central Pin Cloud. You know that, right?
I
But,
know that because that's where I am right now. Are you stalking me?
No, I'm not stalking you. But anyways,
I don't believe
I've
the beach flies a Chinese
yeah,
flag.
I've moved away nearer to the Songkla, and that is why I think that's going to be yeah.
So moving and changing locations, for most people, is not a big deal. But for adolescents, it can be a huge deal, right? Okay, everything changes. I moved when I was in roughly, I guess it would have been M1, right? And I moved not far, but I moved far enough away from where I lived to go to a whole new school with whole new people and a very different environment. Took me a good 2-3 years before I got comfortable again. All right, good. And finally, let's hear from She.
Maybe it is about our holidays, like routine and some hobbies that we've done in the holidays times. Something.
Now, let me ask you this, She. What's the difference between just telling us what you did on a holiday
Um,
and a
it-
narrative a narrative, a personal narrative about a holiday moment?
Like if it is about the narrative, really does like include specific details about the day that we have fun during the holidays, something like that.
So I want to build on what she says a little bit here, is that not always do we have to have a narrative that has some sort of dramatic elements to it, right? We can make a narrative out of anything, right? I used to take amazing vacations, specifically in my childhood with my mother and my father, long road trips, and I don't remember much happening in the sense of having a dramatic episode, but you know, if I ever sat down and write about it, okay, what makes the narrative interesting is capturing the love and the joy, right? Maybe some of the sibling arguments or fights. I would imagine that might be true. You have two brothers, right? I'm sure you've had some funny moments, right? In these vacations, right? So the idea of a narrative of story is can be really anything, right? But the question we always ask ourselves before we writing, what's the big question we always must ask ourselves? Doesn't matter if it's narrative, expository, descriptive. What do we ask ourselves? Or what do we need to figure out about our writing? Bank.
Who are our readers?
Okay, audience, that would be number two. Katanyu?
What are we writing about?
Well, what are we writing about? But even more important than what are we writing about, Tonmai?
Maybe our purpose. What do we really want to tell?
Purpose, right? Purpose. We always gotta wonder what our purpose is. What are we trying to accomplish? Okay, good. Let's move on. Let's do a warm up. Okay. Now, really quickly before I send you into your group, your groups for your warm ups. When you get into your group, I want you to press the record button. You go to the three dots. That are there next to your share the screen, and then you will go up and you will click recording. Once it's recorded, Google Meet will do everything, okay? And later, whoever the recorder is in your Google Drive, just share the recording with me, okay? If you have any technical difficulties, then try to take some notes or something to prove that you have done the exercise. Okay. Now, I want to remind everybody this was set up with the idea that we were supposed to be in the classroom, not online. Okay. But what I want you guys to do is I want you to get into groups, and I want one of you, right? For example, she and his group could start talking about a family vacation, right? And really quick, short, tiny stories, okay? In my family vacation, one time I got bitten by a jellyfish, and we had to get rushed to the hospital. I'm fine, but God, it was such big pain. End of story. Now, the next person who's in line has to say, speaking of hospitals, oh, the worst day of my life was when I had to take my dog to the animal hospital, and I had to say goodbye to my poor dog, who I loved for 3 days. Speaking of love, I have a girlfriend. You see what I'm saying? Okay. You've got 8 minutes and you each are telling a little story, but all of your stories have to come off the top of your head quickly, and they have to relate to what the person who said before you did. Okay. If the speaker is speaking too long, you may interrupt the speaker with "speaking of," but make sure that each person has a chance to get some story out there. Okay. 8 minutes starts now. I will see you back here at roughly 10:40, 10:41. So please, first thing you do is nominate somebody, hit the record button, and go on with it. It's a warm-up. Don't be too serious about the story, right? Okay. And I'll see you back here in 8 minutes. Go. All right, everybody, come on back. If you can hear me, stop your recording. Share with me. Come on back. All right, can I get 3 hands, just a little bit of feedback? What was that experience like? Somebody I haven't talked to today. Travis.
I think it was pretty weird about the conversations we had. We thought about.
Why? Because you're weird people, or
I
the
mean,
activity
yes,
was weird?
we are weird people. We are in
Good.
Suan Club, but we talked about hurting our parents. We talked about nails. We talked about toys.
And that's good. Now, I want you to keep in mind some of the things that you're talking about, because, you know, narrative writing, to some degree, depending on what your purpose is, oftentimes is to entertain, right? We don't tell a story, right? You know, have you ever been in that situation? Somebody told you a story and you're just like, can I have my 5 minutes back? Right?
Yes.
Okay. So there's nothing wrong with that, right? 14, 15-year-olds having, you know, talking about weird things, right? Now, if you were talking about nails, I don't know what that could possibly be, but could you turn that into a funny, short narrative, personal narrative essay with purpose? That would be the challenge, right? Not just saying, it was so wonderful getting accepted into Suan Club, right? Okay, what is entertaining? What is interesting? Okay. Let's hear some feedback from Tone Mai.
So I was quite surprised of my group, because like there are some ideas I never thought someone would be like that. Like when I was young, I go to hospital quite regularly, but like a member of my group just didn't go to hospital at all when he was young.
So it's interesting what we learn from people with personal narratives, right? Okay. When we're around people, we talk about what's happening in the moments, right? You know, especially your generation, so much time spent on the phones and doing things, right? But the moment, right? The moment we have an opportunity, even in 8 minutes, to, you know, really think about, you know, some things that have happened, it's interesting what we can learn from each other. So another purpose of personal narratives is to be able, right, to share with your audience, whether that audience is Teacher Jack, this class, or possibility an entrance committee for a scholarship or a university, right? Personal narratives can be really important, right? And how you write them, what you choose to do, opens and closes doors for you. Okay, good. All right, let's move on to talking about elements of narrative writing. Okay, and there's 5 elements of narrative writing that we want to talk about today. Now, let's be clear. I expect in some form or fashion that these elements show up in your writing in the beginning of February on your due date, okay? And that is setting, theme, mood, characters, and plot. Now, I'm going to assume you know what these all are, okay? But let's break them down a little bit, okay? Setting has two things, right? What you already know, which is place, right? Okay? But setting can also be a time, right? There's a difference between your home now and your home when you were 6 years old, right? Okay, so time and place, they have to go hand in hand. So I want in your narrative essays that you're clear about what time and place is, unless it's your strategy to be unclear. Okay, unless it is your strategy to be unclear. All right. So again, the setting is the place and time. Now, in both time settings and place settings, time on the top, place on the bottom here, okay, you can see a bunch of phrases, okay? I'm going to give you guys 60 seconds, just 60 seconds. I want you to choose a phrase, and I want you to turn it into a sentence Okay, turn it into a creative sentence that introduces either time setting or place setting. You have 60 seconds. Go. And stop. Let's get some hand raises from some people who managed to write a setting sentence. Let's get some new voices. Hands up, go. Okay, I'm going to start with Catania, but I'd like to see some more hands go up as he's reading his first setting sentence. Go.
It was a gloomy night on December 5th when Jacob walked into the nail salon.
Fascinating. You've got both time and place in that sentence, right? Which is a good point. We can introduce both time and place in one sentence. Tim, go.
One terrible morning in the cold, snowy, frigid mountains of Alaska.
Excellent. The use of descriptive writing in there as well, right? Bring the place alive, right? Not just in the mountains, but frigid, snowy, right? Now we have context. Excellent. Aj, go.
It was a hot summer day when the kid got blinded by the shining sunlight at a race car track.
The ending part?
Oh, wait, no. Sorry. I need to change it a little bit. So, it was a hot summer day. A kid got blinded by the sunlight and crashed at a race car track.
A car crash. Interesting place for a setting, yeah? Right? A setting, an event, a time, right? Sunshine, hot weather, right? All of this packed into one sentence. It's amazing what one sentence can do. Okay, how come I don't have any more hands? Pat Pelot Bubang.
It was school holidays where I am at the zoo for the first time.
School holidays, time, zoo, first time, place. Okay, good. Otto.
It was the night before Christmas. There was a man in a small wooden hut.
Okay, great. I was waiting for you to say it was night before Christmas and all through the house. Not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Good, Otto. CJ, go.
Oh, in the middle of the night, I woke up and realized I was in a stranger's car.
In a stranger's car. Uh-oh. Teenager in a stranger's car. That makes me nervous, CJ. Drama coming, suspense, thriller. Okay, last one. Yanin, go.
One terrible morning, I woke up and found myself drooling on the couch.
Drooling?
Yes.
Did you say drooling?
Drooling.
D-R-O-L-L-I-N-G? Yes?
Yes.
Wow. All right. Something happened to Yanin. He woke up, found in himself drooling, right? That is not just time and place, right? That could be an interesting hook, which we'll talk about in a second, right? Okay. The reader reads that and then they need to know, well, what happened? And that could be the whole story, right? Your hook could be the end of the story, right? And everything else you write up until your conclusion is how you got to that hook, right? Interesting idea there. Okay, let's talk about themes. Okay, these are not all the themes, right? This is just common themes. Okay, acceptance. We all know what acceptance is. Courage. Can somebody raise your hand and define perseverance in your own words? Perseverance, or to persevere. If you don't know this word, write it down. It's a good word. Perseverance. Anyone? Chiang.
It is like the will to fight through it.
Right. Yeah. The will to get through something is perseverance. Good job. Right. Survival is perseverance. Okay. We know cooperation. We should know compassion. We should know honesty, kindness, loyalty. Okay. Now, if you are student 1 to 10, I want you to think about Call of the Wild. If you are student 11 to 20, I want you to think about Coraline. And if you are student 21 to 30, this is the challenging one, I want you to think about the Sugar Book. Okay. And I'm going to give you just 30 seconds to think. But my question is, what themes that we see on the listed on the right here could you attach to the book that you have read with Teacher Jack? 30 seconds to think. Go. All right, Call of the Wild people. Raise your hand if you can connect a theme to Call of the Wild. Wow, lots of hands now. Let's find somebody I haven't heard from yet. Ping.
So like I can find like cooperation, like when Buck like and his friend, work together like to reach their goal.
Right, the dogs were constantly cooperating. Good. And you said you had more than one. All right, Q.
Loyalty.
Who was the loyalty between?
Well, Thornton and Buck.
What's that?
Thornton and Buck, because
Right, John Thornton and Buck. Is that the only example of loyalty?
Well, no. There's also the other owners, such as Francois and Perrault,
Right.
and the other dogs.
Right, and between the dogs themselves. Okay, good job. Thank you, Call of the Wild people. Coraline people, let's get some hands. All right, I haven't heard from Pond today.
I would say perseverance, because when Coraline is like trapped in the the other place where she got trapped by her other mother, she still like persevered and helped her mother's the souls of her parents escape. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Gaiman does a very good job at that, right? At illustrating, what it takes for people and Coraline specifically to survive. Title, do you have a different connection?
I think it's courage, like from the main character, which is Caroline. Like she accept the risk of fighting her mother from the other world, and like to solve the problem.
Mm-hmm. Would you say, Title, that courage might be the main theme of Coraline?
Yes, like I think the main thing is like the courage to fight the fear of children or something like that.
Right, because I know it's been 2 years since we've read that book, but remember there were quite a few quotes about courage within that book, right? And it's another reason why we had that book as a reading thing as well. Okay, let's go to the sugar group. This one's a little bit more complicated because this is a history book. Okay, so the theme might be found in different places, but let's start with Puma.
A theme that I think is in the sugar book would be loyalty, mainly between the slaves and the workers, and also the masters.
You think the loyalty between the slaves and the masters?
Yeah, because it also covers the theme of the slaves. For a lot of the time, they're not actually being loyal to them.
Interesting. Interesting. Right. I think
Yeah.
you could write an essay on that. Okay. Chulatep, Isaac.
I do think that, however Puma said, the real theme of Sugar Change the World is acceptance and perseverance.
Why acceptance?
Acceptance because the slave or the Indians, whether the race or not, is trying to fit in with the people of that said society who brought them to their place and then used them as laborers unequally.
Interesting. You know, when we're talking about history books and something like slavery, which was a large part of the book, but not the whole part of the book, right? What Puma and Isaac did very well here was they tried not to attach a theme necessarily to the entire book, right? But attaching themes to lessons and that we can learn from history as well. Good job, guys. That was the hardest one of the three there. Okay. Really quickly, mood. Okay. You should know this word mood. You're teenagers. You have different moods all the time. Your moods probably change every 10 minutes. Okay. But when we're talking about mood, please, what do I want to say here? Please tell me, sorry, my brain, I wanted to do something different than I had planned. But in the moods here, negative, neutral, and positive, are there any words here that people do not know? Any words here that you do not know, or any new words to you? She.
It is in a negative mood, desolate.
Desolate, right, is almost like not having the ability to survive, or a location is so far away from humanity, separated from everything. So a desolate mood is one that is lonely, let's say. Okay, CJ.
For me, it's foreboding.
Foreboding. Is there any word in there any part of that word that is a clue to foreboding?
Maybe like as like foreshadow.
Right. So this idea of the prefix for means coming, right? So we foreshadow, it gives us an idea of something in the future, right? So foreboding is the fear that something bad will happen, right? This general mood that something will go wrong. Puma.
My word would be in one of the neutral moods. It's melancholy is what I think it's pronounced.
Yeah, melancholy is how it is pronounced. Melancholy is, to some degree, is kind of sad, but it's sad in a thinking way, right? And that's why it's in the neutral mood there, because it's if something's melancholic, it has this just kind of feeling of almost like positive sadness, if that can make any sense whatsoever, right? Have you ever had that thing, maybe you think about something in the past, and it's it's not a sad memory, but it's not an easy one either. It might be melancholic. That'd be a good word to start looking up online in a dictionary and see how it's used in other places. Okay. Like most of my lessons, we do not cover everything we need to cover, but just really quickly before I let you go, you know what characters are, okay? This isn't new words, but one thing I want you to think about as you're writing your narratives, that your parents, families, friends, teachers, acquaintances, enemies, these are all characters in your narratives. So even though you know them, your readers don't know them, right? So bring them alive as if they weren't people you know so well, right? Write about them and look at them from the outside, right? Even your enemy has feelings, right? Okay, has different dimensions. Okay, and then we're going to start next class, which for you guys, I don't know which day of the week it'll be, but we're going to start talking about Freytag's pyramid, which is just simply how we look at the development of plot. Okay, so we'll be talking about that a little bit as well. Okay, and then later we'll go into the components of the narrative essay. Okay, it's 11 o'clock. You have another class coming, so I will let you go, and I will see you this afternoon for social studies. Adios, amigos.
See you.
See you, teacher.
Teacher,
And
so
please share the videos with me. Share the videos with me. Yes, who had a question?
I have a question about the group Freytag work.
About what?
The group Freytag work that you posted.
Yeah, we didn't get to it, so we'll do it in a few days.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Teacher, so for the video, I can just share it you via email, right?
The video will be shared in your Google Drive, right?
Yes.
Right. So if the video is shared in your Google Drive, okay. Right. Okay. So this will be, hold on just a quick second. So this will be your Google Drive. Okay. So you see how Bank shared his with me. Okay. So for example, this is I'm going to click on the IS schedule for M1. If I wanted to share that with you, Tone My, right? There'll be a blue share button up here. Okay. I can click share. Okay. It's loading. Just give it a second. My computer's slow. Can you see this?
Your screen froze at the drive.
Sorry. I have to share the new tab. My bad. Okay, let's try this again. Right. So I click the share button over here, right? Oops. Okay, I'm clicking the share button, right? Add people, right? You are Setapong, right? I could add you. Okay. Right. That's all you have to do. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? There's a few people here. CJ?
I was going to ask you the same thing, but I already did it.
Okay, great. Super. You guys got class, yeah?
Okay, thank you. Bye.
All right. See you. Bye.